حي على الفلاح.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما في الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. أما بعد. Respected gathering, first and foremost we give praise and thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his numerous bounties and favors. Indeed, everything that we have, it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The life that we enjoy, the health and the strength that we enjoy, it is from the gifts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why we should say Alhamdulillah ala kulli hal. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on every condition. Because as believers, whatever condition that we are in, if this condition brings us closer towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is a blessing. That if whatever condition that we in takes us further away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then this is misfortune. And the believer, he is always the optimistic person, because he knows that what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never abandon him. Whatever situation that he is in, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always send the help. It may not be instantaneously, it may not be right away, but the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always come to the believer. We see this from the life of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Even Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, sometimes he would have to wait for the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There was a time when wahi, the revelation, was cut off from Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, and he was eagerly awaiting it. He became a little depressed. He was wondering, what did he do wrong? Why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not sending revelation towards him? And after a while, revelation became flowing again once more. It is mentioned that what? The Sahabas radiallahu anhum, they were waiting for the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They were waiting so much that they began to say, when will the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala come? So as believers, we should always have that patience and know that also that He will help us. Because it also mentions in Quran, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ مِنَ الشَّيْءِ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَالنَّقْصِ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Also mentioned that what? Verily we will test you with hunger, with fear, with loss of life, with loss of property. But also says, and give glad tidings to the believers. This is why we should say Alhamdulillah ala kulli hal. And we send salawat and salutations, peace and salams on Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. As we know, the Rasul mentioned that when you send one durood upon him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give that person 10 rewards. And also mentioned in Quran, Qul in kuntum tuhibbuna Allah fattabi'uni. If you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you follow me, you follow the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. It's also mentioned in Quran, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. That in the life of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, there is the best of examples. And when Nabi alayhi salam, he was leaving this world, he said that what he leaves behind two things for the guidance of mankind. The Quran, that is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the Sunnah of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. When you hold on to these two things, you will have the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nabi alayhi salam, he mentioned to believers to do many different things. If you were to list all of them, you would spend hours saying what? Nabi alayhi salam said, do like this. Nabi alayhi salam said, do like that. But one encouragement, on the day of Jumu'ah, the Rasul gave encouragement to what? To recite Surah Kahf. The surah that is mentioned is named after the cave, an incident with youth in a cave. This surah, it is a very lengthy surah, but in it there is so much of lessons for the believers. The Rasul mentioned that what? The recitation of Surah Kahf from one Friday to the next Friday, it will be a light for that person. And it comes in many ahadith where it is mentioned the first 10 ayats of Surah Kahf. Some hadith mention the last 10 ayats of Surah Kahf, but the recitation of this surah will be a protection from Al-Masih ad-Dajjal, the Antichrist, the greatest liar to walk the face of the earth, the one who will come in the end of times to misguide mankind. So, the gist of it is what? To recite Surah Al-Kahf to receive the benefit from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what is the benefit of this Surah Al-Kahf? What do we learn from Surah Al-Kahf? The very first ayat of Surah Al-Kahf explains the glory of the Quran. And it praises Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. It begins with what? All praises to that one who revealed to his servant a book wherein there is no doubt, there is no crookedness. Many times also that he mentions about Quran with ayats of Quran itself. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. That the Quran, this is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no deficiency in it, there is no mistake, no error. Although we live in a time where people now want to play experts in Arabic and nitpick every single ayat of Quran. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself says what? There is no mistake in Quran, there is no crookedness in Quran. The Quran, it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which means this is something perfect from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is the guidance from the time of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam until the end of time. So if we look at the crux of Surah Al-Kahf, we see there are 3 lessons within it. The first lesson is what? The people of the cave, the youth of the cave. That is the first lesson. The second lesson will be what? A conversation between two persons, a believer and a non-believer. And the third story is what? About seeking knowledge, the etiquettes of seeking knowledge, and a little backstory on Musa alayhi salatu wasalam and Khidr alayhi salatu wasalam. And there's also mention of what? Dhul Qarnayn in Surah Al-Kahf as well. And then also he ends the ayat, ends Surah Al-Kahf with saying what? That if the oceans were to be turned into ink to write the glory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it will be exhausted before the glory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be written. And then there is the final message is for the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Because also that he knew, also that he knows everything, that there will come a time when the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he will be worshipped like how Isa alayhi salatu wasalam was worshipped. This is why also he told the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to tell mankind, verily I am only a warner and a guider towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we look at the very first incident of Surah Al-Kahf with the youth of the cave. It's mentioned that what they were either 7, some say 5, some say 6, or some that knows best. These youth were from a nation where they were non-believers. They were the only believers at that time. And fearing for their iman, they took refuge in a cave. Rather than leave the fold of Islam, they decided to hide away from the people to protect their iman. And this is a perfect example. Even though nowadays we don't live in such a time where our iman is such threatened, but our iman is threatened in some ways with the influences of the non-Muslims. We live amongst the non-Muslims. We work with the non-Muslims. We go to school with the non-Muslims. So verily, there will be some sort of influence from the non-Muslims. But if you look at the youth of the cave who held firm to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then no matter who we are amongst, we can still hold on to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these youth, they show the quality of taqwa, of fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being dutiful towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And their story is confirming an ayat of Quran. It also says, which is about taqwa. It also says, وَمَا يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. That for the person who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make a way out for him. He will make an exit for him. So these youth, they feared for their iman. And also that he made the way out for them by hiding in the cave. But it wasn't just for one night, one day. When the youth, they went into the cave, they fell asleep. And when they reawoke, they were speaking amongst themselves, making a little mashura, saying, well, how long were we asleep for? So one of them said, well, look, on average probably sleep for a day or maybe a day or two. And then they made more mashura about taking some of their wealth to go and get food. But then when the Amir or the person they sent out went back to the village, he discovered that what? 300 years had passed. This was the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These youth, their iman was threatened at such a time that time had to advance for them to practice the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala once more. This is how Allah He works. People say what? God works in mysterious ways. So we cannot question Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does, there is a wisdom behind it. We don't see it right away, but we should know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will never put us into destruction. Because also mentions in Quran, He only wants ease for us. If you look at Quran, also He mentions something as being easy. It is the people who make the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala difficult upon themselves, like the Banu Israel in Surah Al-Baqarah. The very simple order was what? Buy a cow, slaughter it, and then you will get the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the Banu Israel, they began asking questions. What color? What size? Where we go find the cow? This, that. A whole set of questions. This is why Nabi Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, when he met the Rasul sallallahu on the night journey, and the Rasul sallallahu told him what? That the salah of his ummah will be 50 times. Nabi Musa alayhi salatu wasalam said what? Go ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a reduction. So Nabi alayhi salam, he went, keep going back and forth. Nabi Musa alayhi salam said what? Ask for reduction, until what? It came down to 5. And Musa alayhi salam said what? Go back and ask Allah for another reduction. But the Rasul said what? I don't want to do this. I feel ashamed to ask Allah for more reduction. But Musa alayhi salam said what? By Allah, I did my best to make the Banu Israel pray even less than 5 times a day, and they still disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nabi Musa alayhi salam, it mentions in Quran, he is the most mentioned prophet in Quran. If you look at the story of Nabi Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, almost every turn the Banu Israel didn't listen to him. Always have questions, always want the easy way out. This is why also he mentions them in Quran for the believers. This is why the Prophet said what? Whatever I guide you towards, you hold on to it, and whatever I forbid you from, you stay away from it. This is the first story of the people of Surah Al-Kahf, the people of the cave. The second incident was amongst two people. One was a believer, he was not so wealthy. The next one was a disbeliever, and he was very wealthy. And he would boast to the Muslim, I have so much wealth, I have this, I have that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He loves me, He does not love you. If I were to die, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give me even more in the hereafter. So the Muslim, he told his companion, you disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These treasures that you have, they take you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the true treasure is Iman, belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To know that one day you will go back towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you will be questioned about everything that you enjoyed in this life. This is the second incident Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He mentions in Surah Al-Kahf. And the third incident is what? Of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam and Khidr alayhi salatu wasalam. Once the Banu Israel asked Musa alayhi salam, who is the most knowledgeable person? Now, the Nabi of the time, he is supposed to be the most knowledgeable person. But Musa alayhi salam, he knew this, so he said what? I am the most knowledgeable person. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted him to say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has most knowledge. Because the Banu Israel, they don't listen anyhow. So if Musa alayhi salam say he is the most knowledgeable, they still wouldn't listen to him. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted Musa alayhi salam to say what? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the knower of everything. He has the most knowledge. So to give Musa alayhi salam a little bit of nasihat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Musa alayhi salam that there is a person in this location. If you go to him, you will increase in your knowledge. Because he has more knowledge than you in certain things. Now, the Prophet of the time, he is supposed to have knowledge to guide his ummah. So if a person brings you objection that Khidr alayhi salam was smarter than Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, then it is a bit of it will get a kind of confused. The knowledge of Khidr alayhi salatu wasalam was knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly. But Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, he is still the most knowledgeable person at the time. But also just wanted Musa alayhi salam to learn that even no matter how smart you are, it could also have somebody who is smarter than you. That was the lesson for Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. That's the lesson that we should also take notice of. No matter how smart we are, we should always know that there is someone who is a little bit smarter than us. But we should always be grateful for whatever Allah SWT has given to us and make full use of it. So Musa alayhi salam, he went with his companion. It's mentioned it's either Yusha bin Nun or another companion. Two of them, they set out to find Khidr alayhi salatu wasalam. And when they found them, Musa alayhi salam, he mentioned that what? Oh Khidr, I came to you to learn from you. But Khidr alayhi salam, he said that, oh Musa, you will never be able to bear patience with me. So Musa alayhi salam said what? By Allah, I will be patient. I want you to teach me. So they began to travel together. So at the first instance, they met when they traveled, they met a youth, and Khidr alayhi salam, he broke the boy's neck. So Musa alayhi salam said that, oh Khidr, you have done something, this is a great injustice, you have taken a life unjustly. And Khidr alayhi salam said what? Oh Musa, did I not tell you, you will not be able to bear patience with me? So Musa alayhi salam, he apologized and he said that, don't take me to task for this. So they went again. This Sunday, they took a ride on a boat. Some people had a boat and they went with them. And Khidr alayhi salam, he put a hole in the boat. He broke some of the floorboards. Musa alayhi salam said once again, oh Khidr, you have done something wrong. You damaged the people's boat. So Khidr alayhi salam mentioned that what? Oh Musa, did I not tell you, you will not be able to bear patience with me. So Musa alayhi salam, he apologized again. And the third time now, they came across a city. And they came by a wall, and Khidr alayhi salam, he set the wall upright. So Musa alayhi salam, he mentioned, oh Khidr, you have done this khidmat, you should have received some sort of reward for it. So then Khidr alayhi salam mentioned what? Oh Musa, now is the time for us to part. But now I will tell you about the things that which you did not bear patience with. Khidr alayhi salam, he was receiving not wahi but information from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about certain things that Musa alayhi salam did not know. So the first incident where the youth was killed, it was revealed to Khidr alayhi salatu wasalam that this youth, he is a very troublesome youth. If he lived, he would only torment his parents and he would become a non-believer. So Khidr alayhi salam was given the knowledge that it is better to end his life. As for the boat, there was a king usurping every boat, stealing all the people's boats. So Khidr alayhi salam, he put a little defect in the boat so that the people could still use the boat. And for the wall Khidr alayhi salam, he put up. Underneath this wall was a treasure, and there were orphans in the city. These orphans, this treasure was their own because it belonged to their father. So Khidr alayhi salam told Musa alayhi salam that this was the knowledge also that he gave to me, but he did not give to you. But also that's given you more knowledge than this. So if you look at this story, my dear respected, we see the etiquettes of being a student and the etiquettes of being a teacher as well. As a student, we would always annoy the teacher sometimes, make mischief. And as a teacher, we should always bear patience with the student and tell them that don't do like this in a nice manner. And as a student, we should also be paying attention to what the teacher is trying to teach us. And the last stories of Dhul Qarnayn. There were four kings who had the greatest kingdoms in all of history. Two of them were non-Muslims, and two of them were Muslims. The non-Muslims, there's some debate over them whether it was Pharaoh or the king of Babylon. But the two Muslims, the scholars of the opinion that what? The first king is Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam, because he made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, "Oh Allah, you blessed me with a kingdom like that you have never blessed anyone before, and will never bless anyone after me." And his second king was Dhul Qarnayn. It's mentioned that his nickname is what? The one of two horns. Meaning what? His kingdom was from the east to the west. This is why he got the nickname Dhul Qarnayn, the one with two horns. So Dhul Qarnayn alayhi salam, he was traveling and he came upon some people, and it was revealed to him, either through the Nabi of that time, or if Dhul Qarnayn alayhi salam himself was a Nabi, that these people are non-believers. It is up to you to forgive them or to punish them. So Dhul Qarnayn said that, "I will punish them according to the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." And then they will deal, then also he will deal with them. And then Dhul Qarnayn traveled again and he came upon another nation. And they told him, "O Dhul Qarnayn, the Ya'juj and the Ma'juj, they spread mischief on the earth. Could you please encase them in a barrier?" So Dhul Qarnayn alayhi salam mentioned that what? "Okay, bring me some materials and I will help you construct this." And then when the barrier was constructed, Dhul Qarnayn, he warned the people, saying that what? "This is not permanent. It will not last forever. This barrier will hold until the time of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills it to be broken." And it's mentioned what? That the barrier containing Ya'juj and Ma'juj, every day these tribes, they tunnel underneath it, trying to come out. And they tunnel till they reach a little bit where if they only dig some more, they'll get out. So they say to themselves what? "Tomorrow we will come back and continue." And it's mentioned also that he collapses the tunnel on them. But it's mentioned that what? They will keep digging until one of them says, "Insha'Allah, tomorrow we will come back and we will escape." And on that day when they come back, they will find the tunnel secure and just to dig out and they will come out. This was the warning of Dhul Qarnayn alayhi salam. So if you look at Surah Kahf in full, you will see the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with all these lessons. The Quran, it is a book of guidance. It's not just stories to pass the time. It's not just laws to restrict us from things the non-Muslims enjoy. But the Quran is meant to guide us, to humble us, to bring us closer towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever also that He prescribes to us, even though we may not see the benefit on it, there is benefit. Whatever also that He forbids us from, there can never be any benefit to it. So I ask also to give us all the tawfiq to act upon what has been said. And as was mentioned, that there's Quran classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We should strive to come to these classes, to understand Quran, to read Quran. The Quran is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It can be our friend or it can be our enemy. It sounds harsh, but that is the reality, my dear respected. If we hold on to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Yawm al-Qiyamah and say, "Oh Allah, I kept this person busy in your remembrance. Please forgive him." And if we turn our backs on the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it will not help us. It will say, "Oh Allah, this person turned his back upon me. Why should you forgive him?" It sounds very harsh, but the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our guide. When we have love for the Quran will love us. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله ولكم لسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه الغفور الرحيم.
حي على الفلاح.